Welcome back to another post-game episode of Banditland Boulevard, where the Bandits, under another sellout crowd, 19,070 fans, lose their fourth game of the season, their third game at home in front of, like I said before, a sellout crowd. Trevor Hauer here, Tony LaMonica there. I mean, since the 7-0 start, the Bandits have gone 4-4. Trending in the wrong direction as we approach the March to May here in the playoffs. An opportunity handed on a silver platter with San Diego losing to Rochester last night. All it took was a Bandits victory to clinch a home field playoff game. Couldn't get it done. Christian Del Bianco, who owns this team for the most part, goes in and, kickstarts a 3-0 start with him since joining the Vancouver Warriors. And before we even get into the nuts and bolts of this show, I want to say congratulations to all the NLL insiders out there on their championship. Believe me, I saw it all over Twitter. NLL beat writers, NLL insiders, pretty much cheerleading the Vancouver Warriors for beating the Bandits. Biggest Bandit haters out there, anyone that writes for the NLL. All these clowns do is post anti-Bandits propaganda. So enjoy your March championship. We'll come back to your silly little posts once we reach May. Believe me, I bookmarked all of that shit that you guys posted. So we're gonna come back to that in May. And if the Bandits do three-peat, believe you me, people, NLL insiders out there, you will be hearing from me if the Bandits three-peat, and I will gloat and I will say that I told you so. But you know what? We're not going to make this episode about those clowns. No, we're not going to give them the attention that they want. So we're going to go on to the game, and this is going to be a little bit of a different post game. I really don't feel like we're overreacting when we say this, Tony. The Bandits are limping into the playoffs right now, hence the title of this episode. 4-4 since the 7-0 start. You lose to Calgary, a 500 team, in front of a sellout crowd. You lose to Vancouver in front of a sellout crowd, again, a 500 team. You're on back-to-back losses right now. You lost to Albany, who is worse than 500, actually. You lost to those guys. So is it warranted that we are a little bit concerned here, Tony?
The term little?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say little. Right now, we are really in the caution. We're in the yellow. We need to really get back to basics. And after the display that the Bandits have done this game to show not only, like you said, a sold-out crowd to all the seasonal ticket holders and to everybody else, it's like, where did the old-fashioned Bandits go? Where's that high-powered scoring go? Where's the elite defense that we've seen go? What is going on? Like, something in the wind is telling us that the change of the picture is coming around, and I don't want to see that because that just makes it feel like, are we going to be now looking at a rebuild year? Is everyone not on the same page? But after the display they had with the non-so take a penalty when needed time was terrible. That was horrifying to even watch. And I don't know if I want to blame the refs. I don't know if I want to blame the players themselves. But in the end, you have to keep your head up and know when the timing is right. I'm not saying that the momentum shift or the feelings feel that way, but you got to keep a clearer head when you're playing up against any team in this league right now. And after displaying what we saw, especially with the two major penalties, you've got to maintain control of your anger. Yes, I understand you're defending your guys. Yes, I understand you're trying to make a change, but do the right changes. Don't take silly penalties where it's going to cost you guys the dub. You've got to think twice before, initiating something. That was the key to their failure this past Saturday.
No doubt. And before we get absolutely flamed in the comments section, for those that only watch a little bit of this show, yes, the Bandits are first place in the National Lacrosse League. We love that. And I know I predicted in the season preview before the season even started the Bandits would finish off the season 12-6. But this is a what have you done for me lately type of league. All sports are really.
Right.
When you start off 7-0, your expectations naturally get higher. And that was all of over a month ago, the Bandits were 7-0. That was when we were thinking this team doesn't look like they can be beat whatsoever. What have you done for me lately? The Bandits have been playing 500 ball lately. So that's another fact right there. And they are trending in the wrong direction. They are losing to teams that they should absolutely be clobbering in this league. So before we get, yes, we know that the Bandits are still first place. But you want to know what else is a fact? If the season ended right now, we'd be facing against a young and flashy Georgia Swarm team in the first round. If the Bandits were second, like Saskatchewan, they'd be facing against Vancouver again in the first round. There are a lot of these teams, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, that I'll be honest with you, Tony, if the season ended right now, I don't know if I want to face against either of those teams.
No.
And believe you me, people, we also know that there are 3 games left here in the regular season. Basically, San Diego losing to Rochester was big. All the Bandits really need to do right now is win 1 of 3 to clinch a home quarterfinal matchup. By the way that they're playing right now, I don't think the number 1 seed is a guarantee. If you asked me that 2 months ago when they started off the season 4, 5, 6, 7-0, I would have told you probably. I wouldn't see the Saskatchewan Rush coming back, but they took down Colorado. They killed them 17-12 last night. So before we get, yes, we know where they are in the standings. We know that it could be a lot worse. We know that we can be Las Vegas. We can be that level bad. And we're in a much better place right now than we were a year ago when we were fighting for a playoff spot. It's frustrating. This is extremely frustrating, especially due to the fact that the fourth quarter, you felt like you had the game won. Josh Byrne finally goes on the score sheet, and believe me, we will get into some of the players. We're going to get into everything that we liked, everything we didn't like. And then we're going to read your comments on the latest Facebook post. We'll get into that. It's probably going to be a little bit of a longer episode of Banditland Boulevard because we need to let our frustration out. You, the fans, need to let your frustration out. And you guys want to be heard. So I told you guys, comment on the Facebook post. We're going to read your comments out. Your guys' voices will be heard as well. Don't you worry about that. This is supposed to be therapy for us, therapy for you guys. Yes, the Bandits are 11-4. But another fact is they've been playing 500 ball the last 8 games. So what have you done for me lately? 500. That is what they have been doing lately. Losing to teams that they should absolutely be smoking. The San Diego game, I'll give them that one. San Diego was the better team that night. No excuses to drop and lose by 6 to Calgary. No excuses to lose to friggin' Albany. And no excuses to lose to Vancouver. But we will get into stuff that we like. The frustrating part for me is you felt like, despite all the BS the Bandits were doing in the first 3 quarters of last night's game, Josh Byrne gets on the score sheet twice. They take an 11-9 lead, and then they're playing back again. The stuff that we said could not happen. They go down the field, score 2 more. Dylan Robinson takes the stupidest penalty that I've seen in the last 5 seasons, jumps on a guy's back and cross-checks him in the back of the head, gets a 5-minute major.
Yep.
And I know you mentioned this before, Tony. I'm not blaming the referees at all. I mean, there were a couple times Tehoka and Anacoke got hit up high, and it didn't get
no call there.
This was not the referee's fault. And, I mean, it's just everything. I'm going to read the Facebook post that I put down going into the game. And if you go back and you watch our preview, can you guys, Tony, can you still see me when I do that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I didn't know if my camera turned off, but
no, you're good.
A quick recap in case you guys didn't see the pregame. Our keys to a victory were you can't take any bad penalties. I think that was the number 1 key. What did the Bandits do? They took two 5-minute majors.
Yep.
Absolutely unacceptable from Nick Weiss and Dylan Robinson. Had to play 60 minutes. What'd they do in the second quarter, Tony, after scoring 4 in the first 7 in the first quarter? They scored one goal.
Off.
1 goal in the second, less than 2 minutes in to the second quarter with Chase Fraser. And then nothing on the score sheet from those guys until 8 minutes remaining in the third.
That's it.
unacceptable. You need to play a full 60. That was another key. You needed your stars to be stars. Dane Smith had 1 goal. 1 in the first quarter. And for a guy that spends so much time in warmups, he's always the last one off the field shooting on the net. For a guy that shoots that much on the net in warmups, you think he can hit the net once or twice in the second half. I mean, the dude was it looked like he was practicing on a soccer goal. Everything that guy shot went wide of the net. And we've been seeing that for weeks now. The Albany game, he couldn't complete a pass. He couldn't shoot the ball. Our game plan in the third quarter, was to keep going back to Dane Smith, who has an ice-cold stick. And believe me, people, we're going to read your comments, but that is on coaching. We are trending in the wrong direction right now. We're going to get into your comments, but we need to break this game down a little bit. Other than those things, the penalties are ridiculous. I mean, Nick Weiss looked like he tried to hit him in the shoulder. I don't think he was truly malicious on the board there. I don't think he was trying to injure him. I thought the referee put his arm up a little bit late there when he called the penalty too, because from when I saw it, looked like a big check. I didn't see the ref have his arm down, and then he raised it up super, super late. Looked like the defenseman kind of turned into the hit, but you can't hit him on the numbers. You can't hit him on the edge of the boards there. That's going to get called every single time. 5-minute major. The Dylan Robinson penalty, he needs to sit in the press box if he's not going to be suspended for that hit. If I'm Johnny T, his ass is getting super glued to the bench. I mean, that is absolutely unacceptable. They tied the game at 11 with 6 minutes to go. You still have 6 minutes to score more goals, to stop this run. You kickstart a new run for Vancouver when you take a 5-minute major with 6 minutes to play in a tie game.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trevor. Finish.
I was gonna say you have a 7-7 team in your house. They have the 7th seed right now. If they lost last night, they're still in a playoff spot. The Bandits had so much more to play for. They had home field advantage to play for. 0 excuses to lose to there is no fucking reason why a 7-7 team is hungrier than an 11-3 team in your barn in front of 19,070 fans. That's the second time that has happened this year. You're not going to get any excuses from me on that. That's just BS. That a 7-7 team is hungrier than the 11-3 team in first place. That is playing for a home quarterfinal matchup. They wanted it more, and there's no excuses for that. But go ahead, Tony. I mean, the penalties, everything, complete joke.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off, too.
No, you're good. You're good, dude.
To explain the 2 majors, and we're going to go, like we said, this is our time to vent, and this is our time to be frustrated about it. About Nick Weiss's, when I reviewed and I saw the replays of that specific penalty, I can't remember who it was, but the player who had control of the ball, not only did he have his back turned, but he was also sideways, where his shoulder was basically where Nick was coming. And after that, his head is looking right at him, so he knows it's coming.
Yep.
Now, when you put your body into a shoulder, that's a clean hit. That should have never been called for the 5-minute boarding, whatever that was called for. I think that was it, right?
Yeah, it was a board. Yep.
It was a 5-minute board. I would have maybe said, okay, maybe an illegal hit or something for a 2-minute minor, fine. That's okay because he came full throttle. He didn't even let up, and I get that. But when you're coming to a shoulder-to-shoulder hit, same goes for hockey. Is it a clean hit? Yes, it is.
Him on the shoulder.
But if the guy is literally looking at you, preparing for the worst, and knowing it's coming, it's still a clean hit. I right there told me that the referees kind of should have overlooked that, but I get where they were saying about the full throttle didn't break up a little bit and maybe just go like bump them and then just go for the ball. I get that. But when it looked clean to everybody in Banditland and possibly to those watching on the NLL network, you got it. It's a 50-50 coin toss. So either way, fine. Call it a 2-minute, but not a major. That was that was to me one of the cleanest hits I've ever seen.
I do think that
was my humble opinion. I'm going to leave it at that.
When they call it a 5-minute major on the field,
right? But that was crazy.
Yeah, they have to find
because the player lost his helmet, and that's why they said it.
Because it looked bad. But if they call it 5 minutes on the field, it's really hard to go to replay and
well, they have to automatically go because that's what they want to verify if it is a major.
Yeah, you have to find clear and irrefutable evidence that it's not a 5. And I think when you see his head going into the corner boards, it's kind of hard to reverse that. But yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from on that for sure.
Right. Now for the Dylan Robinson one, yeah, that was definitely a major because when we see the replay after that, after Martell scored that goal to make it 11 and Bandits 11, Vancouver 10, and taking that major penalty. Why? Here's what you don't do. I know Chase was trying to chase him down because he had a misstep, which is fine. But after the goal was scored, okay, he scored the goal. So either you pull Chase away from the other player or kind of like get the other player, the opponent, off the goaltender or out of the crease and just take him out of the crease. You don't cross-check him on the freaking back of the head where they see that and they go, ooh, not so good, Dylan. You can't do stuff like that. Now, if I was Johnny T, I would automatically say, Dylan, you're done for the night. You're also done for next game because I would sit you down and let you get a reminder. You never do anything stupid like that ever again. That was dumb. You can't take
thrown out of the game.
Well, I thought he was too. But regardless of the fact, you guys are up 2 goals going in. When they scored, it was only 1. Now, that was a momentum shift to the opposing team. Now, that right there gave them all the chances in the world to score more power play goals, which they took advantage of. And again, we are terrible on the kill, and yet we still try to test that theory. Oh, our defense is really good against that. It hasn't been all season long, but you still want to put yourself in a position to be tested and to try to fix that solution by putting yourself more in a dangerous position where you need to win a game to make home field advantage. What does that tell you? You're better off on the road than you are at home? Come on, guys. You guys got to wake up. Every single one of you have to wake up and do your part and not do stupid crap like that. And I'm trying to keep it as PG as possible because, believe me, I want to curse and swear as much as I possibly want. But in the end, what does that do? That doesn't do anything to change your game. It doesn't anything to say, hey, maybe you should listen to us more than you do your coach. Can't say that because you've got to listen to your coach, and that's fine. But when you do dumb crap like that, sit down. You don't need to play another game until we say it's time for you to play. So hopefully Johnny T hears this and says, you know what, guys, that could be the right way of a stepping stone to say that's his punishment for what he's done. You know, you're going to paralyze the guy if his neck snapped and God forbid he couldn't walk off the field. How would you feel then? You'd be a target. Everybody would be hunting you down in the league. See Robinson? Take him out. That's the next thing. You got to think that stuff before you do stupid stuff like that. You cannot do that, especially in a game where you were already in control to win, and yet you do that. You got to be smarter than that, boys. Come on.
And
Trevor, your turn.
I get it was wrestling night, but I mean, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, this isn't
SummerSlam, bro. But come on, man.
Bro, this isn't Survivor Series, my guy. You can't just go right after his head, dude. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, can't do that, guys. Come on.
I mean, I was sitting right behind the Vancouver bench. They every one of their coaches were like, "Why is he not getting thrown out of the game?" And I was thinking, the same thing. Dude. If I'm Johnny T, I would have thrown him out of the game myself. I would have said, "You're going to the locker room. Get the hell off the bench. See ya. You're done for the night."
I agree.
I mean, and not only that, Tony, but the fact that it was a tie game at the time, 6.5 minutes to go, you take a 5.
Okay.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking? We're already depleted defensively. We had Taylor Dooley in the game because Cam Wires is hurt. We lost another defenseman for 5 minutes. Paul Dawson had one of his worst games of the season. I don't know. I don't remember who scored the goal. Was it Keegan Ball streaking down the field where Paul Dawson? Or was it
Cornwall?
Yeah, Cornwall, where Dawson's just stepping back, letting him walk right in front of Vino, scoring from point-blank range. I'm like, dude, he should be looking up at the lights. You're charging at Paul Dawson full speed. lay the body into him. He should not be taking shots point blank at Matt Vince. And whole team loss here, though. Whole team loss.
It is a whole team loss.
Defensively, coaching, goaltending. The whole team is worth some sort of criticism. The only players tonight that I'm not going to criticize for that loss, Tony, and I think that you probably agree here, Kyle Buchanan and Ian McKay. Only two untouchables that you really can't and Connor Farrell. Yeah, who could forget Connor Farrell? Face-offs,
right.
Perfect. Perfect enough for you to win that game. And three players that are untouchable from any sort of criticism. Kyle Buchanan and Ian McKay have been our best forwards for the past since they lost their first game in San Diego. The most consistent forwards is what I'm trying to say. I would probably say Ian McKay and Kyle Buchanan. Chase Fraser, you need your stars to be stars. Oh, we can flip over to the offensive side now. 1 goal in a contract year. This dude's playing for a contract. There's another game where he scores 1 goal. Josh Byrne, 2 goals, both in the fourth quarter. Dane Smith, first goal in the first quarter. AWOL in quarters 2, 3, and 4. I mean, he's getting assists. Naturally, you're going to get assists when you're playing with a bunch of playmakers like that. It's going to happen. Nick Weiss stepped up after that penalty, scored a Josh Byrne-esque type of goal. I'll compliment him on that too, to tie the game up at 9. And then we can go over to coaching. I mean, something needs to be done because I honestly think, coaching-wise, the whole pick and roll stuff with Dan and Josh, the NLL has finally figured out the Buffalo Bandits. The lesser teams in this league have figured out the Buffalo Bandits. And that is a call. You don't need to make drastic changes, but the 90s style pick and roll, spin dodge, NLL's picked up on that. We all know the game plan. Even the fans and sitting in section 106 and 119 are clearly seeing plays that are designed for Josh Byrne and Dane Smith. At the end of the day, get the ball to those guys. Let them score. Okay, we need to have more design plays. Chase Fraser, more design plays for Chris Kluche, for Tehoka Nanikoke, for Nick Weiss. You got to open up the playbook. We are getting very vanilla since we lost that first game, Tony. Since the Bandits went 7-1, the offensive playbook has been extremely vanilla, boring, bland, tasteless over the past couple weeks. Maybe outside of the Calgary road game, but even in that game, the Bandits got off to a very, very slow start. They haven't played a complete game in a long time. And
it's true.
Obviously, if the Bandits held on to the victory in the fourth quarter, we'd be having a different conversation right now. We'd be saying, yeah, the Bandits have their flaws, and they do, but, home field is clinched and whatever, blah, blah, blah. You lost another game on a sold-out crowd against a 500 team. This is extremely frustrating right now. But offensively, bad. I mean, they scored. I got the official score up right here. Chase Fraser scored with 13:13 to go in the second quarter on the power play. The Bandits did not score their next goal until Ian McKay scored in the third quarter on the power play with 13:41 to go. So they went an entire 15 minutes without a goal. Yeah, pretty much an entire quarter, almost 15 minutes of gameplay without a goal. This is what we're talking about, playing a full 60.
Yeah, that's not what we want.
And then obviously, before we jump into our player of the game and stuff and start reading some of these comments and opening up the Bandits mailbag here.
Yep.
Goaltending. The dude, Matt Vince, played a phenomenal third quarter. He was the reason why they were still in the game. He was the reason why the Bandits were hanging around that third quarter. When Keegan Ball is winding up, though, in a 12-11 game, and he's got no one point blank right in front of Matt Vince down low, what he's going to do. He's going to wind up and sidearm that shot. He's going to try to go top shelf. And that is exactly what he did in a 12-11 game on the power play, I believe it was, because, that was when Dylan Robinson took the absolutely bonehead stupid penalty. He goes sidearm and goes top shelf. I would love a save there. Definitely would love a save there. And this even goes back to defense. I don't think Matt Vince had a terrible night. When I see the Matt Vince retire comments on Twitter, shut up. to those people. The shorthanded goal, Nick Weiss is 4 steps off his guy. When the Bandits are down 8-7, they have a power play opportunity, a chance to tie the game, and they go boom, boom down the field, shorthanded goal to make it 9-7, and Nick Weiss is a mile off his guy. I mean, guys, a power play, you have 5 players, they have 4. Like, everyone should be covered, and then one guy should be covered by 2 guys if for some reason they have the ball. Mistakes everywhere, but there were a lot of goals, Tony, that Matt Vince was just left out like a piece of raw meat that a pack of dogs were eating. I mean,
that's right.
Paul Dawson leaving Keegan Ball wide open in front of the net. What's that about? He should be staring at the ceiling. You should lay a shoulder into him. You should never let him get that close to your goalie. And that should be number 1 on defense. But were there a couple saves that Matt Vince could have made? Absolutely.
Yes.
If Matt Vince makes the save, we go 12-12 into overtime, and I don't know how confident I'd be going into overtime considering our track record this season, but it gives you an extra chance. It gives you a 50-50 chance, and you're not relying on, a run on a 6-on-5 with 36 seconds to go. You're not relying on tying the game super, super late. And me being in the stands there and seeing Christian Del Bianco as calm and as poised as ever, I didn't get that feeling with 36 seconds to go on the 6-on-5 that the Bandits were going to score and tie the game. They had opportunities. They had a couple shots on goal, and during that time frame, they reset the shot clock a couple times.
Sure.
I just didn't feel like I didn't feel like they really earned themselves a victory that night. Were there saves? I'm not going to be super tough on Matt Vince. I mean, the first quarter was unacceptable. 4 goals on 4 shots. Lock it down there, dude. Come on. I mean, for real. Yeah. What are we doing? But it was the same the other way, too. Christian Del Bianco was Swiss cheese in the first quarter, too. So,
absolutely.
I mean, you got to call balls and strikes, and it was both ways. I'm not going to be super, super tough on Matt Vince because the grass ain't always greener. You see when 44 gets to go in the net sometimes? Boy, that would be an unpretty sight. That would be a very ugly sight to see. If everyone that was calling for Steve Orleman to come in, what do you want the Bandits to lose 22-13? You want the Bandits to lose 22-12? Because that's what it would have been if Steve Orleman jumped in the game when Matt Vince gave up the first 4 goals. But I'm not going to harp on him so much. The coaching, Johnny T in his press conference said that we need to stay out of the box. Yes. I mean, that is the number one thing. You also got to look internally. Switch a couple things up in the playbook. Try out some new things. I'm not saying, in football terms, bring out the flea flicker every single play and do a trick play all the time. No, just tweak some things up. Don't make every play centered around Dane and Josh, especially when they are struggling. Open up a play centered for Chris Cloutier. Open up a play centered for Chase Fraser, for Kyle Buchanan, for Nick Weiss, for Ian McKay. And for the love of God, I don't know if it's just me that's been, picking up on this and stuff, but ever since the Bandits have been consistently scratching Clay Scanlon, that offense has been getting pushed around like a bunch of rag dolls, and they've been losing games that they should be winning. I would love it if they brought Clay Scanlon up again. We get that scrappiness, we get that toughness back on the offense. And we are missing that physical threat. It feels like that hole has been there since Brad McCulley was traded out of the organization. Clay Scanlon was a great fill-in because not a lot of players were really pushing him around. He was laying out some big body checks on some big forwards. He wasn't afraid of anyone. And then they brought him back down to the practice squad, and the offense is getting pushed around, getting shut down. Just saying, I don't think, Clay Scanlon's going to be the guy that gets you 3 goals a night. I'm not saying that, but good physical presence, good lockdown guy, good scrappy forward to have. He's the Jordan Greenway of the Bandits. When he's out there, defensemen take twice at taking shots at some of your big stars.
Yeah, and what you were saying about before about the way towards the overtime, or not overtime, let me scratch that. By the end, with the last 30-something seconds to go, you see how many passes there were before shots?
Disgusting.
Didn't I not explain that before prior, not to, have so many to look for that pretty goal? You're looking for that 1-2 and then make the shot and then get the rebound and do it again.
Right.
And it seems like my words when I said stuff like that, and it just like doesn't travel into the mindset of the guys saying, look, we need quicker shots. We need to like really, really think about trying to do the finesse goal than rather just go 1-2 punch like Vancouver was doing to us all night. And yeah, they weren't trying to do the pretty goals. They knew where to be and they locked in and they just said, okay, we're going to shoot right there. And guess what? They scored goals. Now, it seems like with the Bandits offense recently, with the last few games that we've seen, it's like they want to make that, oh, it's going to be a assured goal. You throw it to the net, and look what happened when Matt Vince like had one go through his arm and in the net. The other one graced off his top shoulder pad, went in the net. When you take chances like that, good things come to those that shoot. And when I've explained it for the viewers to listen to and everything else like that, that's the mentality and that's the game plan they have to start doing from now on. Like you mentioned before, these teams now know what style, what plan, what we do out there on the floor is like reading a book, and they've exploited us. And now we got to worry about the last 3 games to just win one to be a home game. But now you got to actually think about it going, are we going to even win a game at home if we do have a playoff game this year with the mentality that we are playing, like you said, 500 ball? No, we are not going to do that at all. So what they need to do is go back to basics, go back to the way they started the season, and find that rhythm again. Because if you can't find it, you're not going very far with the way you're playing.
And damn it, get a little creative with the playbook. I'm sick and tired of seeing it. When you have a slumping Josh and a slumping Dane, and it's even tough to say slumping. When you see Josh hitting like 7 points, normally that's really good. Or Dane's getting 6 points, yes, that's normally really good. But their standards are those double-digit point nights where maybe Dane gets 2 goals and like 9 assists for an 11-point night. Or Josh Byrne gets like 5 goals and 5 assists, 10-point night. That is what we're used to seeing out of those two. But when they're slumping, take the pressure off of them. Create some big plays for 91, for 2, for 20. Some of those guys that prove every night that, hey, I can score too, Johnny. Find me a play in front of the net. Why don't we work the pick and roll with Tehoka Nanako, who takes a beating every single night
every game?
I mean, come on, just you got to figure that stuff out. We've been beating this horse to death. I'll wait to see when this thing gets figured out, but the penalties are an absolute joke right now. Find yourself, I tweeted this out or I put it out on Facebook, one of the two. Find yourself a woman that loves you as much as the Bandits love taking penalties. That is a real thing. Holy smokes, you will never experience a breakup in your life if you find a woman that loves you as much as the Bandits love taking penalties. Good Lord Almighty, that needs to stop. But I think we got to get into our player of the game. And I will tip my cap. First star of the game. This guy absolutely owns the orange and black. Tip my cap. Christian Del Bianco, 100% player of the game. I've never seen a goaltender way more calm in front of 19,070. Just absolutely holding it down. It's like he never took that brief hiatus from the National Lacrosse League. It's like we're seeing 2019 NLL Finals Del Bianco back there again. One of the best goalies of all time, hands down. This guy is probably the best road goalie to ever come into Banditland and win as much as he does. So, Christian Del Bianco, you got to tip your cap. As much as you're frustrated with the Bandits, we can be frustrated. We've been frustrated the last 33 minutes of the show, but tip your cap. Vancouver's got some pretty good players on that team. Keegan Ball, Kevin Crowley. I thought the Bandits defense did okay, holding him to only 2 goals, but some of those other players got some open looks and scored some goals. Christian Del Bianco was the number 1 solid player in that net, especially in the second and the third quarter.
Yeah, Del Bianco definitely shut the crowd up, especially the way he came back and played like he did. You said calm, cool, and collective, especially in the last 30 seconds were basically heart racing, nerves of steel. He was basically trusting his teammates. And again, kudos to Vancouver for signing him. And look what he's done for them so far. He's now 3-0. He's kept the goals against average to like 10.5 to 11 per game. And if it helps them win the games and get them into the playoffs, that's the key to their missing piece of the puzzle. So kudos on Vancouver for that. Also, with Keegan Ball, like you mentioned before, ending up with a 10-point night, 4 goals, 6 assists. That's my player of the game for Vancouver, who just found ways to score past Vince and just creating plays and allowing not himself, but others, like you said, for Crowley, Lowen, and I wish I could pronounce the last name of this, but I can't do that at all.
Oh, yes.
I think you know who I'm talking about, the last name with a C, and I can't think of how to pronounce it, so I apologize in advance. But it's just amazing how well Keegan Ball has just been growing year after year for what he has done for Vancouver. So that would be my go-to guy of the game.
Yeah, I believe the guy that you're talking about, we can just call him Adam.
Yeah, Adam Char or whatever, Charizard, if you want to call him.
Adam Pokemon Charizard. Adam
Pokemon Charizard.
Adam C is what I'm going to call him. I think
there you go.
It's a pretty good. Everyone knows what we're talking about when we're talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, first time ever we've done this on this show. Banditland Boulevard mailbag. I asked new people because this is our time. This should be therapeutic for us. This should be therapeutic for everyone else watching this, and just plain entertaining for Vancouver fans that have stumbled upon this video or this audio.
Of course.
So you know what? You guys can play too. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I put on my Facebook last night, 10 hours ago on Bandits Mafia. Everything the Bandits couldn't do to themselves, they did and more. Couldn't take bad penalties. They took 2 5-minute majors. Had to play 60 minutes. That had to be a thing. They scored 1 goal in the second quarter. Did not play a full 60. You needed your stars to be stars. Dane had 1. Josh had 2. Chase had 1. So your stars really weren't stars. And then I said, drop your thoughts below and get your comments read live on the show. So that is exactly what we are going to be doing. We got all these comments queued up. We're going to shout out all of our loyal listeners here. I want to make sure I got all of them here. Let's see. All comments, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're going to start off with Kevin Brown. KB. I almost thought it was Kevin Brunel. Kevin Brown on Facebook says, Dane and especially Josh haven't played like they have in the last 2 seasons. Bucky, Kluch, also not scoring like they did. Vince has had some stellar games, and last night started off rough. We can blame him in the defense, but only to a point. Our high-powered offense is running average or below. I agree with a lot of what what Kevin said. I'm still stuck on the whole Adam thing. What Kevin Brown said. I will say this, though. The one comment about Buchanan, I think he's been the best forward on this team since the Bandits have been going on this little bit of a skid. I think Kyle Buchanan, given his age, the fact that he's potting in 2 or 3 goals a night, I think he's given you everything that he can. But your point about Cloutier, yeah, I mean he's had his nights. He scored 4 against Las Vegas. I think he scored 1 against Albany. Was held to nothing against Vancouver. So I understand your point there. I totally agree. Our high-powered offense, for sure, has been running, I would say, below average, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is coaching. Yes. Part of it is the mental fortitude of this offense. If you want the three-peat bad enough, you're going to find ways to score goals. And we've seen the Bandits beat some of these top teams led with a high-powered offense. They really struggle against these 500 teams. I don't know what it is, but it's these teams that get hot at the end of the year that really scare the living crap out of me. So good stuff there, Kevin. Love that.
Mm-hmm. Bravo, Kev.
Steve Pepper, SP. Ever since the coaches pulled the reins on the team during the Vegas game, they've forgotten how to play the right way. You brought up a great point that I forgot to bring up in our main little part of our podcast here. When you hamstring your best players on purpose, you can't act surprised when they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
100% agree with Steve here. And I was going to say, Johnny T, he literally said, go back and watch the post-game press conference after the Las Vegas game. He literally admitted to the press that the Bandits offense, that the entire team held back in the second half and allowed Las Vegas to come back in the game. Okay.
You can't do that.
So you admitted to that. What has come since then? You played back against Albany, loss. You played back against Vancouver, loss. What gives?
That's
Seriously,
right.
Why are you playing back? You want home field. Las Vegas, you should have beat those clowns 26-7.
Something like that.
A week ago. I mean, the fact that they held back, they were up 11-2 in that game. Give me a break. 13-10 final score, I think it was.
13-10.
What the hell? You even admitted you admitted you played back. Okay. The follow-up question there should have been why? Why? Like, why are we doing that? Like, as soon as you see that, other teams are going to play you that much harder.
Yep.
They're gonna go into that matchup at the KeyBank Center and say, listen, the Bandits, they may jump out to an early lead, but their head coach just admitted on their press conference that they started to play back. They are known for doing this in 2025. We could really exploit that. That's exactly what Albany and Vancouver has been doing. So absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. I don't know why we haven't played a full 60. It feels like since the Ottawa game, but, or since the home Rochester game, maybe even the Philly game, something like that. Steve brings up a great point. Prima. Is it Prima or Prima Young? I see this person in the comments.
It could be either way.
I apologize if I butcher the living hell out of your name. Milkman needs to give the ball to the yes. Yeah. How would I have gone all these weeks without saying this point, but you bring up such a good point here. Milkman, meaning Connor Farrell, needs to give the ball to the offense instead of wasting time playing around. I would say that or throwing the ball backwards to no one. But I do agree. Defense needs to stay on defense and offense needs to stay on offense. And Vino needs to stop letting in the easy shots. Again, 100%. But I think the one play that you are referring to with Connor Farrell, the reason why he was holding on to it against the boards and making that face against the glass, the Bandits were trying to kill off a penalty there. And he was taking off a lot of time. But I totally understand what you're saying. I feel like when he wins a face-off cleanly, he runs directly into traffic. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, dude, you see three guys coming at you. It looks like a rugby scrum. Just drop the ball off to the open guy. Like there's always an opening behind you. Just pitch it back there. And then when he wins it cleanly also, he sometimes just blindly throws it behind him. And it goes behind Matt and Vince. I'm like, oh, okay. So I thought he played a great game. I saw, when he got pinned against the glass with three guys on him and he was making that face in the glass, I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Meme worthy. I thought that was great. I love seeing some of the meme Connor Farrell stuff, but I thought he played a great game. Brandon W says yawn. I think he's not really concerned with the Bandits right now. So to each their own, that's also a good mentality to be with. So he cares about clinching the playoffs. His attitude is pretty much, if I'm trying to connect the dots here with his one sentence comment or one word comment, was he's not concerned. He's waiting until May. And that's right. You know what? You already got a playoff spot clinched, so he does have a point. He does have a point. Vermont. Meanwhile, Scanlon, thank you for saying this. Oh my God. Meanwhile, Scanlon, a seasoned scrappy player who can play a full 60, is sitting on the bench. Tell me why. Time to trim the fat and dead weight on this team, regardless of what player they once were. Warriors look good. Very athletic team. Nice job, Warriors. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Thank you for saying this, Vermont. Clay Scanlon is that scrappy little you-know-what head that gets in your head, that pisses you off beyond belief when he's out there on the field. I remember him in his first home game at the KeyBank Center laying out Connor Fields behind the net. And I'm like, oh, I like this guy. He doesn't care if you're the best player or the worst player on your team. He's going to lay the body in you. He's going to play his physical style. He loves it. He's not afraid of anyone. So I totally agree with you there. And the Warriors, they have been going on a roll since the trade deadline. I completely agree. They're a very athletic, very young team, a team that, quite frankly, scares me if the Bandits are going to face against them in the first round. Excellent point. Paul, our guy in here, Paul, the usher, Paul at the KeyBank Center.
Oh, Paul I. Yes.
Paul I, baby. Yeah, fellow Houston Astros fanatic. So shout out the Stros, Paul. Shout out the Stros. Other teams figured us out. They took Josh out in the first half and limited the scoring opportunities for the others. Our defense was Swiss cheese in the beginning and scored on almost every single shot they took. Again, excellent points. Excellent points there. Other teams have figured us out. What's the answer for that? I think you got to change something. The thing that I would do, I'd be looking internally. I'd be looking at the playbook. I'd be trying to get a little bit more creative. maybe ditch the pick and roll because it's not 1997 anymore, and try to look at how some of these other teams are scoring. Look at a Jeff Teat. When you draw up a play for Jeff Teat and he just finds open space and he shoots from all angles, it seems like the Bandits kind of went away from shooting from all angles. They want the pretty goal, or they want the point-blank shot. You shoot from all angles, sometimes the goalie's going to get screened, and that ball's going to find the back of the net. When Josh Burns scored those 2 goals in the fourth from long range, I'm like, can we do more of that? Like, can we keep the goalie on his toes? He knows that you're not going to shoot the ball if you don't shoot it from the point through the first 3 quarters, and you're just going for that point-blank pretty shot. Can we see more of that? Keep the goalie questioning every shot, keep him on his toes the whole thing? I think part of that is coaching. I think Johnny T is the greatest coach in this league. He just needs to, as Vermont said, trim the fat on some of that playbook there and stick to what works. I think that we'd be in pretty decent shape. Let's see. Andrew Boback Jr. says power play is still ass. I mean, hey, I said it in the beginning. You're down 8-7. You're gifted a power play, and you give up a shorty. Come on, really? Come on. You give up
not the kind of way you want to go.
If that shorthanded goal doesn't happen, you're talking overtime. We could say if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. And if Dylan Robinson doesn't take that stupid ass penalty, they don't score that power play goal to go ahead. So. I mean, it felt like a game there with 9 minutes to go in the fourth that the Bandits were going to pull through with the skin of their own teeth. They didn't play their best game, but I was thinking, hey, maybe we're going to get a win here despite that. We're going to get a gritty win. It wasn't the case. Yeah, power play didn't help anything out either. I mean, they did pot in a couple power play goals, which was good. And it's not where it wants to be right now. We've been struggling on the power play since week 1 of the season.
That's true.
Justin Cash says, I mean, he brings up a point here too. What did you enjoy about the game? It was exciting, great plays. Dane and Josh are electric to watch, and I agree most weeks. Tehoka Anacoke, Ian McKay, Kyle Buchanan, and Chase Fraser played real good. Okay.
We can pinpoint a few of those that didn't.
Yep. Defense made plays and kept them in the game. Okay. We have 11 wins. The league is elite. We want to win, but not at the cost of perspective. Let's promote growth and gear up for May. Okay, I love that last part.
I like the last part that he said too.
The March for May is 100% on. The Bandits, I've already clinched step 1, and that was clinch the playoff spot, which I love. Back where the Bandits belong. They have to be in the playoffs because if the Bandits aren't in the playoffs, it almost feels like the NLL season didn't even happen. What did I enjoy about the game? I enjoyed wrestling night. I don't think we really touched on that much. I enjoyed seeing some of the Erie County wrestlers out there. I thought that was cool. I thought the in-arena stuff that they did, the guy that jumped on the half wall on the boards and landed on his head, is that guy okay? I enjoyed that.
Yeah, he's fine, I guess.
The music.
You can tell he's got a nice brush burn on his forehead down to his ear.
Yeah. I mean, hey, those guys put their
ouch.
I will say this, and yes, I'm taking a shot at Triple H right now. The guy in the Vancouver Warriors jersey is a more believable heel than anyone on the WWE roster. Argue that with me till the day I die. Come on. The guy, even though he did say go to a real city like Toronto, and he was wearing a Vancouver Warriors jersey, a little bit of work could have been done there on the mic. I did like the wrestling portion, the theme songs, the John Cena cam, the Kane cam. That was sweet. Hearing Matt Hardy's theme song being played. I was watching the D-Generation X video on the big screen. Dude, that was awesome.
That was fun.
Now. I thought it was cool. The wrestling look-alike things on the screen. And when the guy in the Vancouver Warriors jersey got slammed through the table, the presentation was great. I saw some comments saying that, they thought the overall presentation was mid. I'm like, what did you expect? Like Shawn Michaels to come out and referee the game? Like what were you expecting for wrestling night? I would have loved to see a fight on wrestling night. I thought that would have been complete, but Dylan Robinson pretty much already covered it when he used a foreign object on someone's head to bring out the crazy extreme rules of the game. Again, I say we're not in a DQ match. That was what I did enjoy about the game. There were exciting plays. And I think Justin is right about that. There were exciting plays in this game, back and forth both ways. It just, the Bandits came off on the winning side or on the losing side of it. Dane and Josh, definitely electric to watch. 100%. When Dane and Josh are clicking, they're the best. They're the two best players in the National Lacrosse League, bar none. Tehoka Nanticoke played really well, he said. Okay. Ian McKay, I think he played well. Bucky played very well. Chase Fraser scored 1 goal. He tried the behind-the-back shot down 2 for some reason. I don't think he particularly had a great game. I don't think Josh and Dane had a great game. But he is right about this. The league is elite. The league is definitely growing, especially in the 5, 6, 7, 8 parts of the standings. Mm-hmm. I think the league could use a little bit of work in 1, 2, 3, and 4 there. A lot of those teams are starting to cool off a little bit, and some of the teams that haven't clinched home field yet or haven't clinched a playoff spot are starting to catch up to those teams. The league is getting elite, which I love to see. It's great for the growth of the game. We want to win. Duh. Absolutely, we want to win. We have 11 wins, he said. Yeah, it ties the amount of wins that we had all last season, and the Bandits still went on and won a championship. But,
correct.
When you start off 7-0, your expectations increase a little bit. Before the season started, I predicted the Bandits going 12-6. If you start off the season 7-0 and you go 12-6, that means that you finished the second half of the season 5-6, and you're limping into the playoffs. Yeah, that doesn't look good. It changes your expectations a little bit. But yeah, 3 games to go. I do agree with a little bit of what you said. Kelly K, coaching is subpar. They could have taken a timeout in the second to regroup, but no, just run the same plays over and over. Yeah, that has been annoying the absolute crap out of me. The over and over plays when the league has you figured out. It's sad when some of the 500 teams have figured you out. Says a lot about, if the Bandits were to face against the Halifax Thunderbirds right now or the Colorado Mammoth right now, those teams aren't 500. How would they attack? How would they attack the Bandits? And it's funny how the Bandits work because they go in and they beat Saskatchewan, then they beat Calgary on the road. But then a 500 team comes out in a sold out building and you get pretty much dog walked in your own barn. So Bandits are just a weird team this year. It's very reminiscent to that of the little bit of the skid the Bandits went on in the middle of the season last year. Reminds me a lot of that. But I feel like the circumstances were a little bit different. The Bandits didn't have a face-off guy through a lot of that stretch. They have a face-off guy now. It's about polishing off some of your offensive stuff, your defensive stuff, your coaching. I thought Mad Vince played well enough to win the game yesterday, but it's whatever. But you know what? Kelly brings up a good point too. Last one here, Ryan H says, last set of the game, you need a goal. Got to get the ball to Josh. No excuse for that. They didn't even look his way, which is frustrating. We may only have 4 losses, but 3 at home in what is supposed to be the hardest place to play in the National Lacrosse League. 100%. Yeah. Ryan brings up a great point there. The plan was to pass it around a whole bunch, get the ball to Fraser, if I'm not mistaken, what happened in the last sequence of that game. They had a couple of shots. Were they high quality? No, not really. A couple of those shots, Del Bianco didn't even have to move to make a save. But, Josh Byrne had the hot stick in the fourth quarter. Should have gone to Josh Byrne there with 36 seconds to go. It's the same deal that we were harping on last week about the Albany game. Josh Byrne had the hottest stick in the second half, especially the fourth quarter. You go into overtime, and what's the game plan? Give the ball to an ice-cold Dane Smith. Like, don't you see how that doesn't make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. And get the ball to Josh. In OT, you probably win the game. I mean, it's the little things that are getting under my skin. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to all our comments. Thank you for everyone that's interacting with the show.
Yep.
But it's the little things that are adding up. Yes, the Bandits are 11-4. We should be happy that they're still in first. Of course we are. And if they go on a stretch in the next 3 games, and the real Bandits are back, because we've seen in the past, Tony, when the calendar switches from March to April, Bandits turn it on. We've seen that happen for years now. March is their slumping kind of month where they kind of step on the brakes a little bit, let some of these other teams catch up with them. But when that calendar switches, man, you're a month out from playoffs.
Yep.
You've seen the Bandits lock it down. So there are some positives here about this. But the one thing I don't want to see is this trend continue of the Bandits limping into the playoffs. If the Bandits go out and win the next 3 or take 2 out of 3, have some, high energy going into the first round of the playoffs, this entire show, this whole recap from Game 15 will be a moot point because we are talking about the trend of where this team is going right now, limping into the playoffs. You guys get hot at the end of the year, championship's back on, 100%. The season is not even close to being done. It's just some things that the Bandits need to tweak up. It's some stuff that's been annoying us, aggravating the fan base for going on weeks now. And this is just something that we decided to do for our post game, something therapeutic for you guys, a little rant, if you will, but something to get the emotion out because walking out of the building last night, I saw some pissed off people, man. And you normally don't see that coming out of a Bandits game. Like normally the attitude is, yeah, we lost, but we're still the best. We're still the best. We're gonna get them next week. It's fine. This week, walking out of the building, I saw some pissed off people. I'm like, it reminded me of walking out of a Sabres game. And I'm like, I don't want to see this in the fan base. Like, you guys got to figure this out. We want to see a three-peat. I mean, come on. What we've been doing, what the Bandits did in 2023 and 2024, going back-to-back is remarkable. We will remember this throughout their entire franchise history. You want to tie that Rochester record, though. I know deep down you want to keep this dynasty going. You want to shut these NLL insiders up, the ones that have been hating on you since the beginning of the season, because the Bandits have turned into the 90s Yankees. People hate on this team because they win. The Bandits have turned to Jimmy Johnson, the Kansas City Chiefs. You hate us because we win a lot. Let's keep that trend continuing. Let's shut a lot of people up. Let's go into freaking Denver next week. Squash them like a bug. Get their confidence back. Colorado's missing their 3 number 1 players. I'm just, McLaughlin gone. Zed Williams, man, he's going to be out for a long, long time.
Yeah, his ACL's torn.
Ryan Lee is the number 1 guy I'm looking out for a super, super, super early preview, and we're going to get into it on the preview coming up later on in the week. But guys, this is a team that got exposed by a team that you already beat. You already beat the Saskatchewan Rush in their barn. Yep. This is a team that you can absolutely obliterate and expose. And this entire episode will be a moot point. We know what you're capable of. That's why we're frustrated. We know how good this team can be. That is why we are frustrated about what we are seeing right now. It's not doom and gloom. No, don't get that. I don't want to get clowned in the comments for being, negative. We're just calling it how we're seeing it. We know how good. The reason why we are so pissed off right now is because we know how talented this team is. This is the most loaded roster in the National Lacrosse League. Go out and play like the most loaded roster. Come on.
Yeah, guys. I mean, now it's a brand new month. We're out of March, so you got to think about it that way. 3 games left, 2 on the road, 1 at home. Obviously, the final game at home, April 12th, but we got first things first, and we're going to be stopping in Colorado on the 5th, and that is on a Saturday. So go in there, like you said, Trevor, go in there, play balls to the wall, never let up off the gas, and just ground and pound these guys to oblivion to set the record straight, why you're the champions, why you're back-to-back champions, and you go in there and you make a statement. Every game from here on in, it starts right now. You make a statement for every game you play, letting everybody know, look, you want to beat us, you got to be the best, you have to beat the best. Yep. And right now we're still the best, no matter what, until the playoffs are done and we're knocked out of the playoffs. But again, we're not getting there yet until we play these last 3. So for the final 3 games, you go in there, you make a statement, you set the record straight why you're the best. And Johnny T knows that now this is a time, because since we went back-to-back losses, we have to fix something that has to get back in the winning track. So be assured that he's got something up his sleeve when we go into Colorado on Saturday.
Think of the next 3 games, the last 3 games, as a mini season.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as a mini season. Sure, we slumped a little bit here midway. 3 games, give it all you got. All you got going into the playoffs. Because if the Bandits are the 1 seed or the 2 seed or maybe even the 3 seed, but they go into the postseason hot, seedings don't matter. When the back-to-back champs go into the playoffs hotter than hell, good luck to everyone else. Just show us that you have the capability of going into the playoffs hot. We all know that you're going into the playoffs. Boom, boom, boom. Love that. That's great. We love going into the playoffs. It's about home field. It's about making a statement in these last 3 games because we haven't really seen it in the past month and a half outside of maybe the road Calgary game and the first half of the Vegas game. We really haven't seen the first half of the Vegas game. That is what you guys are capable of every single freaking week. That is what you were capable of. Don't let outside forces, don't let anything in your head stop you from playing the game that you guys were born to play. You guys have what it takes these next 3 games. Georgia on the road. I don't remember the last time the Bandits lost in Gas South Arena in Duluth. I don't remember that. Jump all over them then. Fan appreciation. You guys know that's likely going to be a sellout. 3rd time's a charm under a sellout crowd. Maybe you'll win that one. Denver, you guys swept these guys last year. You're not afraid of these guys. The tides have turned in the rivalry between the Mammoth and the Bandits, where now the Bandits kind of own them. The last 3 games are the prime opportunity to, like the old, or when you're looking at like stocks and you see the Bandits are kind of trending down.
Sure.
Time to spike up. These next 3 teams, extremely beatable. Going to these next 3 games the way that you went into the first 7. With a pissed off attitude, nothing could get in your way. Because the first 7 games, the Bandits were all world. Show us a little bit of that before going into the playoffs. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I humbly agree because that's the only way you're going to have to prove a point when you go into the playoff stature. Find that rhythm, get back on track of things, and just play your game. Because other than that, teams are going to finally expose you. And if you don't change to make it better, you're already completely done. And you might as well just call it the day. Yep. But other than that, smarten up. Let's get back on the track, and let's keep moving forward.
Yep, because the number one thing I like about this team is when the train gets kind of derailed, they always find their way back. They always find their way back. So why would it be any different this year? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Well, hopefully they do something.
Because I've been seeing...
They got to find their way back.
I've been seeing comments on Twitter that the Bandits are frauds, and I'm like, I don't have a good argument against that right now.
You can't defend that. Because
No.
after the way they've been playing the last, what, you said we're 4-4 in the last 8? That's, well, hopefully they're not frauds.
No, but the Bandits, you got 3 games left. Prove your worth.
That's it. Take 1 game at a time.
Head up, shut up. Play your game.
That's it.
I think it's time to shout out the sponsor, Tony.
Sure can. Banditland Boulevard would like to proudly present to you by Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, this Tuesday, in 2 days, Josh Byrne will be there to sign autographs from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This is no joke. It is on April 1st, but it's no joke. He will be there before he flies out to Colorado. He will be signing autographs, and then if you want a secondary one, it's going to cost. Other than that, we'd like you to go try out their food with their amazing service, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Also, we'd like to thank our other sponsor, and that is Herney's Journeys. If you guys want to book your next big adventure or vacation, please contact Suzanne Pike at SuzannePike@Herney'sJourneys.com. Let her book your next big adventure. Also, we'd like to thank those who watch us on YouTube live here, and you can see us both Trevor Hauer and myself, Tony LaMonica. Give us that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell every time we talk about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse in the sport that everyone loves in the National Lacrosse League. Also, we'd like to thank those who listen in on our phones, your tablets, your radio stations on Spotify. Give us that 5-star rating that we talk nothing but Buffalo Bandits lacrosse.
Couldn't have said it any better. Hey, 1.5 hour therapy session. Needed it. I feel a lot better. You probably do. I think the fan base does after listening to this.
Yep, sure do.
Come on. Hey, facts are facts. We're still first in the league. Still
That's
first.
right.
Despite the BS, first in the league. First in the league. There are some things that we need to clean up, but you know what? They got 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Give it 125%. And
That's it. One game at a time, boys. That's all you can do.
Once you get hot going into the playoffs,
don't stop.
Championship run is back on, baby. You know that. You know that. We'll end it.
So let's get to it.
With these 3 words, I don't care. The Bandits lose to
Vancouver. We always end the show like that.
We end it like this. Ready?
Yep. Here we go in Swenny's voice. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, Bandits.
Let's go.
Let's go, boys. Get back on the winning track.
Don't be limping. Don't be limping
No.
now.
Go in there full throttle. Keep moving forward. Let's go.
Get off the crutches. No more limping. Let's go.